Hi there, it's a new day, new topic, new great insights from you, the Take Two with Jerry and Debbie listeners. Along with Debbie Georgianni, I am Jerry Usher. Debbie, does it just seem like this to me, or does it feel like this week is going by fast?
Oh, very, very quickly, very quickly. But I'm excited about this topic today, Jerry, and I just caught something. Did you catch it on the meme that you posted? Did you catch it? Your birth name is not Gerald, it's Gerard.
No, I have to talk to Jeff, our meme guy, about that. I won't be mean to him, mean to the meme guy.
Yes, but it is Gerard, and mine is Deborah, our birth legal names, and we go by Jerry and Debbie, like so many folks do with nicknames. But we want that's the topic today. We're talking about the power and if you like, your birth name. And what do we mean by that? Well, your name represents a lot of things. Your parents really thought long and hard about what to name you. And there's all sorts of scriptural references about names and the importance of names, and we know how names have been changed when people have these major conversions, right? And God has a new name. Okay, let's talk about that. But also, we want to ask you quite simply, do you like your birth name? Call us 833-288-3986.
It could be a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I will readily admit that my birth name, which I'm a little bit, I'm not ashamed of it. I just wish I had been happier with Gerard. Not that I would have gone by Gerard earlier in my life, but Saint Gerard. I've been named after that wonderful patron. I have Joseph as a middle name. Thank God for that. But I don't know why it was, Debbie. Gerard just seemed so formal and stuffy and weird, when you're growing up with your friends. You want to have something that's like a cooler nickname. So, my family called me Jerry all the time, so that's what I went with. But what about you? Was there ever a time when you didn't really much like Deborah?
I couldn't stand my first or last name. I used to cringe every single time the nuns would say Deborah Rizzio. I cringed. I just didn't like it. It didn't work for me. I grew into it as I got older. My last name, maiden name, was Rizzio, which is similar to Mother Angelica Rizzo. See, we share that in common. But no, I didn't like it, and I didn't like Deborah at all. Didn't like Debbie. No, I didn't really. And then I grew into it. Now I absolutely appreciate the name Deborah. I like the name Debbie because it's a happy name, and I absolutely love my last name, Georgianni. I just love it. So I told Marty he was very lucky that because everywhere we go, people say, it's such a cool name. It just rolls off the tongue. It's just, and it's true. I just really like that. So yeah, there you go. Full disclosure.
All right, that's full disclosure, and we are anticipating full phone lines as well. There are a couple still open right now. 833-288-EWTN. 833-288-3986. You can get on the program via your comments on EWTN's Facebook or YouTube channels. You can email take2@EWTN.com. A lot of ways for you to become a part of the broadcast here. But we're talking about the name that you were given at birth, your birth name, your legal name. Do you excuse me, do you like that? Do you prefer to go by something else? Maybe you go by a nickname. Debbie, a lot of people actually just go by initials, which is kind of interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe that's why you thought long and hard about picking your confirmation name, because that was a name that you really maybe wanted to have. And then you absolutely love the saint that's attached to that name. For me, I chose the name Michelle, with one L, which is for Michael. I absolutely love the name Michael, Saint Michael, the Archangel. I love that. And so Michelle was my confirmation name. How about you, Jerry? What was your confirmation name? Curious.
I took my uncle's confirmation name. My late uncle, sadly, he actually took his own life when I was very, very young. But I wanted to honor him, so I took the confirmation name of Robert. So for Saint Robert Bellarmine, I suppose.
Right. Well, we want to hear from you. your legal name, your birth name. Maybe you changed your name. Maybe you learned more about your name from the Bible. I did about Deborah. Absolutely love now how strong Deborah was in the Old Testament. What a leader she was. I even learned about what the meaning behind Deborah means. It means a bee. And I didn't like that at first, but then I learned about what it means to the function of a bee and the nurturing and how it helps to spread life, if you will, in the plant world and so on and so forth. And so you can translate that into religious education. And I feel, well, I'm living up to being authentically a bee, because that's what I love to do, is spread the gospel message. You see how you can relate, and there's power in that, and living up kind of to your name. Maybe you have a family name. What about that too, Jerry? A whole family names go down. There's juniors and the third, and it keeps going.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love to learn of somebody who's a junior, or like you said, a third or a fourth or whatever, because I think it's so cool. You've got your dad's name, and then you give your son, your name and your dad's name, and it just kind of gets handed down from one generation to the next. I think that's such a cool thing. Where are we? We got actually two phone lines still open. Mm-hmm. So be quick, and you'll get one of those at 833-288-3986, talking about how you feel about the name that your parents gave you, the one that was on your birth certificate. Maybe you've changed your name legally. Some people, Debbie, do that. Yeah. They maybe aren't as comfortable with their given name, so they will change their name legally. Maybe it's for other reasons too, but
yeah. Witness protection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Jerry, you're talking about juniors and the thirds and stuff like that. My brother is a junior named after my dad. And here's something that's really interesting. My dad passed away on my brother's birthday.
Wow.
Don't you think that's really interesting?
Yeah. That's so many times things like that happen. Mm-hmm. How beautiful. God gives you those little kisses from heaven.
Kisses from heaven. Okay, now we're having full phone lines, but you can get into the queue. Brian is so good. Ryan is amazing. He has 9-10 arms. He can answer the phone so quickly. He'll put you in the queue. You'll wait, and then you'll come on and share about your birth or legal name. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're talking today about if you're happy that you received this name, what it means to you. Are you living up to your name? Do you understand your name? And let's talk about it. 833-288-3986. Stay with us for the entire hour. You may learn something.
"60 Seconds" with Archbishop Fulton J. Sheen.
It must be understood at the beginning that the Eucharist may be considered either from the point of view of a sacrament or from the point of view of a sacrifice. In order to understand this distinction, because it is rather a technical one, we go back to the analogy of nature. Every day of your life, you partake of certain food, the products of wheat, vegetables, fish, meat. They all enter into the sustenance of your life. They nourish you, they feed you. But have you ever thought of this other side? Before they can ever nourish you, they must be submitted to some kind of sacrifice. Before they can be the sacrament of your physical life, they must die or be sacrificed.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
Doctor, featuring doctors Tom McGovern, Chris Stroud, and Andrew Mullally.
The number of people who are on government assistance expanded so much. Personally, I had patients in my office in tears saying, I never thought of myself as somebody on government assistance. I just bought a new car. I can afford a brand new car, but I'm still on Medicaid.
Doctor, Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Thanks for listening to your show, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio. Asking you today, are you happy, delighted, you love your birth name? Maybe you had, like me, a little bit of a period in your life where you didn't feel like comfortable using it. I'm happy with Gerard now. It means, what does it mean? I was just looking it up. Spear strength or something like that. Strong with the spear. Yeah, strong with the spear. So I'll have to go out and blow the dust off my spears after the program.
Take up archery or something.
Hey, Debbie, we want to say hi to
Darts.
everybody watching the video
Yay.
stream on Facebook and YouTube, including our new friend Joan, who's watching
Hey,
on
Joan.
YouTube today.
Yeah.
Thanks for being with us here. And just real quick mention that the Rosary is prayed every day at 5:30 a.m. Eastern Time. That's the Rosary with Mother Angelica and the nuns of Our Lady of the Angels Monastery. And then in the evening, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the Rosary is a Place with the late Father Benedict Rochelle and Simonetta. EWTN brings you the Holy Rosary twice and been doing it for over 25 years, twice a day. Tune in every morning for Mother Angelica and every evening for Father Benedict Rochelle, only on EWTN Radio.
My husband and I catch the 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time one. Jerry, real quickly, folks, we're coming up on our 5-year anniversary for Take Two. It's June 15th. We're going to be celebrating the whole week. We want you to help us pick topics going forward for the anniversary week and going into the rest of 2020. So if you could go to take2show.com, Michael Birchfield, our producer, prepared a very quick survey for you to take. And please just click on the happy anniversary button, take the survey. Could we just flood that site, take2show.com? We want to make sure we get everybody's voices heard. Remember, that's what Take Two is all about. Everybody's voices need to be heard. And we are here to listen. Okay, Jerry, can we go to Lois in Marble Falls, Texas, Guadalupe Radio, our friend Lois. Hi, Lois. Welcome.
Hi, Lois.
Hi, kid. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm glad to be talking to y'all on a happier subject today.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So that's why I had called in. It's a good mood subject. So I love my name. I am named after a piano teacher, nun of my mom's. And I love both my names, and I have kept my maiden name for the most part, just because I got married later in life, and so I love the fact that the Gerten, and there's 10 people in my family. I always thought that was God's magic on that, and I just really like my name. So my full name is Lois Marie Therese Gerten Burgess.
Wow,
knows who I am.
So you have Marie Therese. Lucky you. How amazing is that? Okay, now, Lois, every time you say your name out loud, do you think of this piano teacher, nun, friend of your mom's?
Not every time, but no.
Not every time.
Yeah. But, there's also Lois clubs all over the United States, which I'm not a member of any of them, but I think, how cool is that? How many other names have clubs? I don't know. Are you aware of the
No,
Debbie
I
Club?
never heard. No, there's
I've never heard of such a thing before.
the Debbie
Yeah,
Club.
but no, if you Google Lois clubs, they're all over the United States.
Wow.
Well, unfortunately, I have to say real quickly, our club, a Debbie Club, would probably be a dying club, Lois, because I heard Debbie's been added to the list of names that are dying out.
Well, in my younger days, people would always tell me I was too young to be a Lois. I don't get that, unfortunately, anymore, but I used to get that all the time because Lois is an older name. I mean, do you know anyone under 50 named Lois?
I went to high school with a girl named Lois.
Yeah, my former mother-in-law, who passed away, her name was Lois, and yeah, interesting. I love the
Good
name.
women, right?
Oh my goodness. I have to say, Lois, my mother-in-law, Lois, she was, in my opinion, a walking saint. Just amazing woman. She just gave and gave and gave from her heart. I loved her. In fact, it's so much so that I had her in the birthing room with my second child. And so that some people would say that's unusual. You had your mother-in-law, and I had my mother-in-law and my mother, because they had so many children, they never got to see a birth, and they wanted to see a birth before they passed. And so I had my mother-in-law and my mother in the birthing room. There you go.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. They were a little bit horrified.
Yeah. Well, Lois, I looked this up. You probably know this already, but your name means better or more desirable. You were probably aware of that.
No, I'm not. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah,
actually.
more desirable. So, yeah.
Well, the other thing I think is cool is my first godchild was Tim, and I'm embarrassed to say I don't know where in the Bible, and it comes around every 3 years, but it talks about Timothy and his mother Lois, or his grandmother Lois and his mother Eunice. And I just thought that was. I need to ask my sister if she picked me because of that. I'm not sure, but I thought that was pretty cool that I'm not his grandmother, but I am his godmother, and our names are together in a sentence in the Bible.
Wow.
That's in 2 Timothy chapter 1, by the way, Lois. So I'm going to look that up myself again as well after the show. That's really, really cool to have those biblical connections as well.
Yeah. See, this is why we're having this discussion, Lois, and you can appreciate it, obviously, because you were the first caller. But we want folks to really start to get comfortable. Well, like I shared it early on when I was a kid, I wasn't comfortable. I used to cringe when I heard my name, but now I am. I grew into it, and I understood it, and I appreciate it. And so that's what we want for this discussion, and we want folks to start to, in a healthy way, really appreciate themselves. And so therefore, with the idea that the more you can respect yourself, the more you can go out there and be Christ-like to others. What do you think about that, Lois? Because I know you're a deeply spiritual woman.
I totally agree. Yeah, and like you were saying in the beginning, how important names were, and Christ changing people's names, and isn't that the whole reason that we get our middle names at baptism? Isn't that kind of like not changing our names, but adding something to it? I should know this better at this stage of my life, but
so should
Us
we,
too.
obviously.
We'll research it and get back to you, Lois.
Yeah. No, you research it and get back to us, will you?
Yeah.
yeah, I will. So,
All right, God bless you,
all right,
Lois.
so I know you have other callers, but
Yeah.
I'm grateful I got to be first, and like I said, I do love my name, and I'm blessed and always grateful that my mom named me Lois. So.
Yeah. Well, we're grateful you're part of the Take Two family and also the Stand Tall family, having been on retreat with us in the past. Thank you, Lois. God bless, from beautiful Marble Falls, Texas.
Thanks, Lois. Love you. Thank you so much. Okay, Roger is up next in Worcester, Massachusetts on Emmanuel Radio. Hi, Roger. Welcome. Hello, Roger.
He might be listening on his radio.
I think he's... Roger, are you there?
Yes, afternoon.
Hi.
Hey.
Yeah, WNEB, Worcester, Massachusetts, Emmanuel Radio.
Okay, you're on the air, Roger. Come real close to your microphone there.
See, I'm a promoter of Catholic radio. I'm a promoter of Station of the Cross, and we need more Catholic radio like you. And but it's about the name. If your name is kinship, I would say your last name is more important because you're proud of the name, your family that you grew up from. Your first name, I always consider more personal. That means until you get to know someone, you let some people know your first name. But it's your last name that you hold the family honor. You keep, you protect their family that you grew up with. Maybe it's old-fashioned. If you look at the Bible scriptures, they always say, "What is your family name?" It was a name. Remember the movie Ben-Hur. Yeah, you come from the family of her. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was the last name that was more important, and we lost that. Mm-hmm. That's what I say.
By the way,
maybe it's your young generation.
Yeah. By the way, Roger, just so you know, that's my favorite movie, Ben-Hur.
Right.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Go ahead, Jerry. What do you think what Roger's saying about last names?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely beautiful. I am a little bit shamefaced to say I have not done a whole lot of research on my name, my last name Usher. I think it's a bit of European, Scotch. Not really sure. I thought it was partly Dutch, and I had a girlfriend one time who she started calling me Dutch because I said I thought there was a little Dutch in my background. But I agree. How many times do we hear people say you're trashing our family name, trashing our family name? Mm-hmm. So Roger, I think you're right on with that.
Yeah, and see, my family came over here in the 1620 to 1640. Some with the Pilgrim Mayflower, and some with the 1650s. But the thing is, people ask me, "Who are you?" And I said, they want me to tell them European kinship. No, I'm an American. oh, we were persecuted Christians all over Europe in the 1500s, 1600s. But, I want to get back to, we're Americans, see? They come here for a reason. We're sitting on a hill. And maybe the young generations don't get taught that. I know I'm 70, but you guys are in the 40s maybe. But please, announce your last name.
Yeah,
So,
Roger.
So I'm Mr. Frost.
Right, Roger. Let me just share something with you. You just made our year, okay? You said we're in the 40s. We just absolutely love you for that comment. And let's just tell our listeners, we didn't pay anybody, we didn't pay Roger to say that. Jerry and I are really close to 60, Roger.
Oh. Well,
does that change your feeling about us?
We feel young, though, Roger.
No,
we feel like we definitely feel like we're part of it.
Most people don't get started till they're 80. Harlan Sanders, Kentucky Fried Chicken, he didn't start anything till he was 80. Dave Thomas, Wendy's Hamburgers, he didn't really start anything till he was 80.
Wow. Jerry, we're just beginning.
My
pastor is 40 years ordained, and I tell him, hey, Moses didn't start till he was 80. So
right.
You're just starting.
Well, we hope and pray that you're right, Roger. The future is bright, God willing. We get past some of these crises that we're dealing with, pandemic and the subsequent, things revolving around the death of George Floyd. And we need to be in prayer, Debbie, for our country. I just really sensed yesterday, and I've been sensing a lot lately. I've been trying. I don't do it well. I'm trying to do a little bit of fasting, because I think we're in a place right now where prayer combined with fasting is what it's going to take to really, see a renewal of our country, I believe.
Absolutely. Roger, thank you so much. Thank you for the nice words about Catholic Radio, Emmanuel Radio, and Station of the Cross. You were just a delight. I just started a new virtual award. It's called the Sunshine Award, and it's a virtual. And I'm going to give it to you, Roger, okay, because you brought us sunshine today, okay?
Thank you. God bless you.
God bless you, Roger. Take two with Jerry and Debbie. We're talking about first names. Roger brought in the whole notion of the family name that is passed down, of course, more than just a junior here or there in all generations. But we're asking you, are you comfortable with, have you always enjoyed and liked your first name, or maybe disliked it a little bit? And we're talking about that with you at 833-288-3986. And Alice is next. Oh,
Alice.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say Alice. Go ahead.
Alan in Barron, Wisconsin, listening on Sirius XM 130. Thanks for calling. Take two, Alice.
Hi, how you doing?
Doing real well today. Thanks be to God.
That's good. I listen to you all the time, and we got Sirius Radio, so when we're on vacation, or that's not, it's once a year, we can listen to you guys going to Florida and your station because we like it so much. And want to learn the more we can about the Catholic faith, the better. Anyway, I was named after my grandma Alice. My mama's Rose Alice. My grandma had an aunt Alice. I didn't know all this until I did my, about the back stuff. So I did my ancestry. Anyway, when I was confirmed, now this story is, I just amazed by it. When I was in third grade, I got confirmed, and I was trying to pick a name that would go with Alice. Alice. My middle name is Ray. Alice Ray. Catherine. No. Alice Ray. Margaret. No. Then I said Alice Ray Bridget. Hayes, my last name. And so I picked that. And later years, I met my husband when I was 17, and we've been together for 43 years. And we're going to be married 43 years this year. And anyway, he wasn't farming right away, but then his dad, he became a partner after we got married with his dad. And then we moved out here to Wisconsin. And guess what my job was? Milkmaid. And that's St. Bridget is the patroness of milkmaids.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Wow.
And I just think that's not a coincidence. See, I don't believe in coincidences. Mm-hmm. I guess God knew I was going to be around cows
Yeah, it's absolutely right, Alice. So many times this is not a coincidence. We can see the hand of God, even though you took that as one of your names, not knowing that St. Bridget was the patron of milkmaids. Then later that duty, that role came around in your life, and you realize this. And Debbie, when we have these epiphanies and we have these discoveries, it just makes us feel so much more, recognized and loved by God.
Mm-hmm. And I completely agree that I love the way Jerry said, you see the hand of God in this. And so true. When I went back and did the research on the names I chose or my parents chose for me, and I looked at the scriptural references and I went and I dug deeper into it, I realized, wow, was God creating the blueprint for me to be in ministry? It was so clear to me. And so I agree with you, Alice. Way to go. I love your story. Thank you so much for brightening our day here on Take Two. Stay with us, Ann and Mary and Susan and Rachel. We'll be right back talking about your name today, your birth name, your legal name. Do you like it? Tell us why.
Father John Riccardo.
When you and I wake up every day, do we strive to know Jesus or not? Quick question to you and me right now. Is that what you and I are doing every single day?
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
You know, one of the things that struck me when I went on mission in Haiti was the peace that people had there. And it didn't seem to make sense because life was so constantly scary. I mean, gosh, we're dealing with interruptions in our supply chain right now, and it's scary to people. Like, where's the toilet paper, right? But people in Haiti and other countries live like that their entire lives. They make all sorts of plans that are all tentative because I think I'll be there at 5 o'clock, but if a car breaks down the road, there's no tow truck to come get it. I might be there tomorrow, right? But while that's unstable, it also brings about an amazing peace of soul because people are used to surrendering, to being focused in the present moment because it's all they have. You know, there's a hidden blessing in this difficult time for us, brothers and sisters, that I think God is forcing us to focus on being present to the moment. You can't make all sorts of plans for what's happening next week or next month because the moment's what you have, but God is there in the moment.
For more, text Chris at 44144. This is Chris Stefanik on EWTN Radio.
He was a Jesuit, a cardinal, and a doctor of the Church.
Matthew Bunson and the Doctors of the Church.
St. Robert Bellarmine is honored for his immense contributions to theology, including helping to draft 2 important catechisms that defended church teachings during the Protestant Revolt. Pope Clement VIII named Bellarmine a cardinal because, as the Pope put it, Bellarmine had not his equal for learning.
For more about the Doctors of the Church, visit doctorsofthechurch.com.
I'm Gloria Purvis.
I'm Monsignor Charles Pope.
And I'm Deacon Harold. The Morning Glory team asks, how do we unite ourselves to the Trinity?
Tomorrow morning, 7 Eastern. Now back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Today's topic on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Your legal name, your birth name, are you happy with that? Do you go by a nickname instead? Maybe just not for any particular reason of dislike, but maybe you just, like with me, I love Gerard now, but I go by Jerry on most things that are at least not like legal documents. But how do you feel about that name that your parents gave you, that first name, 833-288-3986?
Okay, so we're moving on to, as promised, Rachel. And Rachel's in Providence, Rhode Island, listening on the EWTN app. Hi, Rachel. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi, Debbie. Good afternoon.
Hi. Thank you so much. Thank you for waiting. You waited so patiently, and we're so. By the way, I just have to tell you up front, I love the name Rachel, but go ahead, Rachel.
Oh, that's okay. No, I wouldn't have mind waited, and I appreciate the compliment. Yes, ma'am. I have several really fantastic stories in my life and in my family about names. So I'll start off with my name. My dad was born 1925 during the Depression, my real biological father. So he was actually pretty much elderly growing up and raising me, and it was a big gap between my mom's age and his age. So when he had his first set of children, he really wasn't appropriate for the men to go into the delivery room and be with the wife while she had a baby. But then with my mom, he could, and he was so excited to be able to do that and see that miracle of life. So his name was Raymond, and then my mom thought about it, and they talked about it together, and so they decided to name me Rachel, which then kind of blurred together, could be Ray's child. And I was just really the apple of the eye of my mom's name. So my first, and then of course we're Christian and we're a faithful family. So coming from the Bible was important to us. But that is what triggered my mom to be Ray's child. And then my middle name is Marie. And then my mom converted to be Catholic when she married my dad. So she was starting a relationship with the Blessed Mother, and she named my middle name Marie. And then my last name, maiden name, is King, K-I-N-G, which I think I'm coming into a love of that a lot more because we talk about Christ our King, and Christ is the King of our heart, and he's the one who sits on the throne forever. So I'm really enjoying my last name a lot more recently as well. So that's a little story about my name, but then my husband, I've been blessed that he's only kissed and dated me. He's a very strong man of character and conviction. But there was this other girl that he kind of thought he might want to marry, and he was dating her for a while. And her name, big drum roll, her name was Leah. I'm not joking. So it was just like the Bible, where Leah and Rachel were the two beloved females of Jacob. So, and then I have another story about my daughter's name, Jeanne d'Arc, being Jeanette, but I'll save that for another episode. But okay, so thank y'all for letting me talk, and I appreciate y'all being an example of friendship and good relationships with each other on the radio, because that's a good example for us to hear how you can have dialogue and go back and forth in friendly ways.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you so much.
You're very kind, Rachel, and you've got some beautiful reminders of names, not just your own. I love how you tied in King to Christ the King. He is the King of the universe, and he should be the King of each of our hearts. You're so lucky with your husband that you were really the only woman he has ever kissed or dated or anything like that. What a beautiful way of preserving himself for the vocation and the bride that God had for him. Mm-hmm. And I just love the Ray's child, Rachel. Mm-hmm. Debbie, there's a lot of wonderful little anecdotes and stories here.
Absolutely. Well, and the dynamic with the Leah and Rachel in the Bible. I mean, so folks can look at this, okay, from the outside and say, okay, all of these things, are they coincidences? Are they God incidences? What are they? Well, I think as you get mature in your spiritual life and you go along that journey, you start to realize, like you said, Jerry, I'm going to say it again, you see the hand of God in so many things. And I think this is becoming very evident in what everybody's sharing today. Rachel, thank you so much. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you for sharing your story. And then you can, you have a part 2 with your child's story when we revisit this again, which we will, because it looks like it's a very popular program. So thank you, Rachel. Okay, Mary has also been waiting patiently in Rockwood, Ontario, listening on Alexa. Hi, Mary. Welcome.
Hi, Debbie and Jerry. I'm so happy to talk to you this morning. And I'm really excited to tell you my story about my name. Well, I guess it goes without saying, my name is Mary. And I'm just so honored to have be named after the Mother of God. Mm-hmm. When I was young, obviously, it was just a name to me. But as I grew older and grew more into my faith, I started loving Mary so much. And my mother had told me a story about my name, my second name actually, which is Fatima. And in the old days, they used to bring the statue of Our Lady of Fatima across the Mediterranean to the different islands for about a month. And I had 2 brothers that had died a year and a half and 9 months with pneumonia and bronchitis. And I was also very, very sick and dying as well. And at this time, the statue of Our Lady was going across the Mediterranean, and we're from Malta, so she went over to the shore as the statue of Mary was passing, and she made a vow that if I lived, she would give me her name, which is obviously what happened. So I also have Fatima as my second name, and then to make it even better, when I was confirmed, my parents chose a very holy family to be my godparents, and in those days, they chose the name, and they chose the name Dolores, which in different languages translated, that means sorrow. So I think that I'm also named after Our Lady of Sorrows. So I'm surrounded by Mary. So
You sure are.
So I'm just so honored that I have her name, and also as I said, before my faith wasn't that great, and as I grew into my faith, I understood more about my name. But in the meantime, I had two girls, and I named one Jessica, and then the second one Loretta. And when I pondered, I thought, I wish that I had thought a little longer, and I had given them Christian names. But as I went into the Bible, I realized that Jesse is the youngest son, I believe, David, or he's the father of David. So actually, it is a biblical name. And Loretta, I understand, when they had moved, they say the angels had moved the house of Loretto, which is where Our Lady was brought up, landed in a place, and the owner's name was Loretta. So I believe that actually, even though I didn't really mean for it to be, any kind of relation there, but I believe that there is. So that's my story. It makes me very, very happy, and I'm really, really happy that you have this on your show today.
Oh, thank you, Mary. Your story and so many of the others, it just goes to show that a name is not just a bunch of letters of the alphabet put together, but there is so much meaning and significance. And I love yours, Mary, Fatima, and then the other names that you put out there for other people as well. And we need to really, I think, some of us anyway, Debbie, I think need to ask ourselves, am I tapping into the heavenly assistance of the patrons for whom I've been named? You and Marty and I are doing the consecration to St. Joseph right now by Father Donald Calloway, and it is opening my eyes. I've always been close to St. Joseph, but this is total, as he says in the book, this is a game changer in my relationship with St. Joseph, and I think everybody should have that. But just be in contact, prayerful contact with the patrons who are there to assist you and render help to you from heaven.
Right. Heavenly help is there. And Mary, I just wanted to say real quickly, I'm so glad you got to share your story with all of us. It just reminds us how important names are. And then of course, when you were talking about Loretta, and I was actually on pilgrimage in 2013 to Italy. We visited the house of Loretto, and I have blessed oil from there. And I've been using that recently throughout all this pandemic and everything that's been happening in our world, which is just so difficult to work through and to deal with, and it just hits us in so many ways. And yet you've brought that peace to your daily lives with your name named after the Blessed Mother, with Fatima, with Loretta, you have that right with you. And that, I think, I want to just have everybody visualize this for a second. So many times we say, well, I can't get to Italy and visit the house of Loretto. Okay. But we can bring all of that back home. back to where we're at and start living it now. Look, we have perfect example with how we've all been practicing and praying spiritual communion prayers, right? We've all been doing that, and I think we've all become very good at it, right? Well, prior to this pandemic, so many of us didn't even realize that was an added grace-filled option for all of us. So you see how we can bring this right back into our personal circle. And Mary, that's what I took away from your telling your story. It can be very personal, and it should be. And I love that. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thanks, Mary. We appreciate that. We've got another Mary on the line we'll hope to get to here shortly. We just take you in the order in which you call. Take two with Jerry and Debbie at 833-288-3986. Do you like your first name, your legal birth name? That's what we're talking about. It seems like most people are very, very pleased with what they were named by their parents. And Ann is calling up from New Iberia, Louisiana. First-time caller on Sirius XM 130. Hello, Ann. Welcome to Take Two.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I think it's a very uplifting topic for this day, in this age, in the history of our country, because there is so much to be said about one's name. Shakespeare said, "What's in a name?" And I think my answer to him would be everything, as far as I'm concerned. I think that my name is something that I love probably most about myself. My name is Anne, A-N-N-E, and my mother always told me that she spelled it that way because that was how the Blessed Mother's mother spelled her name. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. I know that Anne comes from the Hebrew Hannah, which means favor or grace, and what could be more of a compliment than to say you are full of grace? And my second name is Marie, she who is truly full of grace, according to Scripture. And those two names, to have combined the grandmother of Jesus and the mother of Jesus, as you just said, we need to tap into those patrons that we have. And I do. Oh, my. As a grandmother, St. Anne is my best friend. And, of course, as a Blessed Mother, who could be more understanding to a mother. And then my confirmation name is Therese, which I picked myself because she is the little flower, and the stories that she can tell as to how we should live the little way. Those three names, Anne Marie, Therese, just speak to me so much that I love my name.
I don't blame you. It's absolutely amazing. You are so incredibly blessed. If you've listened to the show on a few occasions, I've said it many, many times. My oldest sister is named Mary Ann, okay? And I've always said this. If you're named Mary, Marie, Ann, and yours is Anne Marie and Therese. Okay, I've always said this: if you have Mary, the Blessed Mother, and her mother, you are so incredibly fortunate, and you shared that, and I love that. Now I learned something from you, Anne. My middle name is Anne, and by the way, I expect that we're both going to be celebrating July 26th. On her feast day, because that is her feast day, July 26th. So, Anne, I'll be thinking of you and our wonderful Saint Anne. But I learned something from you. I have always been drawn to the word grace. My ministry is named Grace. Even my Maltese is named Grace. My husband's business is named Grace. We have everything that's named Grace. Why? Because it's all about grace. And I didn't realize it was a derivative of Hannah, which is favor or grace. And that's my middle name. See, I just learned something new, Anne. You're amazing. Thank you for opening my eyes as to why I was always drawn to that. Very interesting. What do you think, Anne?
I think it's wonderful. It's just a great story, and to be full of grace in two ways, Anne and Mary, is just a wonderful, wonderful blessing. And then we throw in the little flower, and what could be more graceful than she?
Got a great combination of names there, Anne. God bless you. Thanks for joining us here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie today. And another thought that I had here, Debbie, just like we should really try to live up to our family name, our last name, we really should also do all that we can to live in a manner pleasing to the saints that we're named after, because we're carrying around their name as well. They're there to give us all this heavenly protection and help. And we should honor them in every way that we can by living a life, as the Bible says, worthy of the calling we've received.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Okay, real quickly, just want to draw your attention again to the survey on take2show.com. Hit the happy anniversary button. Please do that. If you don't want to do it right now because you're listening intently to everybody's stories about their names, which are so fascinating, that's quite all right. Just right after the show, quickly, it takes 60 seconds. Go to take2show.com and you can share the topics that you want us to tackle together as a Take Two family. You just hit that anniversary button. And also, Jerry, I just want to say, if I may, EWTN Radio posts 11 podcasts every day, every weekday, and over 60 per week. So you'll never have to miss your favorite EWTN programs, and they're all free, folks. I love that word, free. Okay, go to EWTN.com/radio/podcasts to listen and subscribe. Okay, Jerry. Did all the housekeeping.
I'm moving along with your calls. We just hate to not get to anybody, so we'll try and fit you all in here. Susan is in Kingsley, Michigan, listening on Sirius XM 130, and also a first-time caller to Take Two. Hi, Susan. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you very much for having me today.
Sure.
Absolutely love your program, and I truly can relate with the last caller. I love my name. But originally, when my mother was pregnant with me, nobody knew, and I guess I'm grateful for that, because I don't know what her parents would have done, but I was born in the back seat of a car on the way to church on a Sunday morning, and I am so grateful that my mother actually kept me and put me up through adoption, through Catholic Social Services, but she did name me before she gave me up, and she blessed me with the name Mary Marie. And then when I was adopted, my parents toyed with the name Karen, which I've never known a Karen in my entire life, but they went with Susan, which I absolutely love. And my middle name is Elizabeth, named after my adoptive grandmother. And I also, confirmation name, chose Teresa, after the little flower. And I'm so enjoying today's stories. And actually on November 1st of last year, I did the consecration of my life to Mary, and I was drawn up to a church when I moved north out of Detroit, and I am a Eucharistic minister and belong to St. Mary of Hannah Parish. So Mary has always somehow, not only have I honored her and loved her my entire life, but I always feel the depth of her with every way the Lord drives me back to the name Mary.
Wow, beautiful, Susan. Mary. Mary. I want to call you Mary Marie, I guess. You were born on the way to church. You didn't want to miss the service, apparently. But wow, you were consecrated in a very special way to our Blessed Mother early in your life. And you said you just recently made the total consecration to Jesus through Mary. So yeah, talk about the best of heavenly help that there is. Any saint can help us, but Mary being the sinless, immaculate Virgin Mother of God, there is nothing that Jesus would not do for her. Obviously, if it's in accord with his will, and I believe St. Joseph is the same way. So Susan's got some powerful help from above.
I completely agree. And Susan, as you were speaking, I was just welling up in tears because I was just picturing, your birth mom, okay, who valued your life so very much, to have you be brought into this world, and then to immediately entrust you to the Blessed Mother, not once, but twice. And how beautiful is that? You know, the love. And she knew that the Blessed Mother would care for you better than anyone here on earth could ever. And you're drawn back to the Blessed Mother. I think you have a super, super close relationship with the Blessed Mother. And God bless you for sharing your story. It just makes me, it just emphasizes over and over again the importance of our understanding of what it means to have our wonderful spiritual mother, the Blessed Mother, our spiritual father, Joseph, the angels and the saints. And so thank you, Susan, for really gracing this conversation.
Amen. Amen. Okay, Joan is next, listening in Long Beach, Mississippi, it looks like. Watching, actually, we mentioned Joan earlier in the program, watching on YouTube. Hi, Joan. Welcome to Take Two.
Thank you. Good morning. How are y'all doing?
Great, Joan. How are you?
I'm good. I am so grateful for the name on my birth certificate, Joan, Joan. I found out some years later that my mother loved the movie Little Women and liked the character Joe, which she thought that it stood for, or it was short for Joan, but the character's name was really Josephine. So I am so grateful for the name of Joan. St. Joan of Arc, that's a lot to live up to. And I'm sure there probably is a St. Josephine, but I don't know, and I know nothing of her. So I just want to put that out there and make it short and sweet.
Well, I'm going to hope my fingers can go fast here, because there is a St. Josephine Bakhita, and there may be others as well. But, Joan, look her up. She was declared a saint by the church in 2000, and she is a rather contemporary. She died in 1947. St. Josephine Bakhita. She was Sudanese Italian. She was a religious sister who lived in Italy for 45 years after having been a slave in the Sudan. So, St. Joan of Arc is a powerhouse, and you've got a fairly recently canonized saint, again, just in the year 2000, also on your side. How does that sound?
That's right. That's right. Let me throw just one other quick thing out if I can. My mother's birth name was Marietta, and some years later, I guess a teacher asked her what she wanted to go by, and my mother said Mary, but the teacher thought she said Jerry. So she has used Jerry, Jerri, as a nickname, and it became legal some years later.
Wow.
Funny
and
how those
her
things
birthday
happen.
is coming up. I think, if I remember correctly, you have an early July birthday. Hers is July the 1st.
That's mine.
Jerry.
Yeah, my birthday's July 1st. I'm not going to say.
Yours is July 1st. Okay, I was thinking it was a little later in the month. Okay,
Debbie's
happy
husband
birthday
Marty.
to you next month.
Oh, thank you, Joan.
Yeah.
And Debbie's husband Marty is on July 3rd, right, Deb?
Mhm.
He's an Independence baby. I almost was.
He thinks he's a freedom baby. Yeah.
Does he celebrate a birthday month like you do?
He gets a week. I get.
He gets a week. You get the whole month of November, and he
uh-huh.
gets a week in July.
Yeah, he's
how
lucky.
generous of you.
It's tough work. But we make it happen. Joan, thank you so much. We're waving to you again on YouTube, and it was such a pleasure to speak with you yesterday, Joan. You brightened my day, so thank you so much. Let's stay in touch, and God bless you. Okay, Jerry. We have almost full phone lines, and we checked with Michael, and you put it out there. Why don't you make the announcement? Because I don't think it's fair to let anyone not share their special name.
Well, there are many of you that were not, so you can hear the music. We're not going to get to you on the air today. Let's do it again tomorrow. Let's do part 2 of Do You Like Your Name? What is the meaning of it? And we're going to talk with you about that, Jerry. I hope you can call back. Ann in Philadelphia, Mary in Reseda, California. You were up next, Mary. Sorry, we didn't quite get to you, but tell Ryan tomorrow. We'll put you at the front of the line. Irina in Toronto. And anybody else, it's going to be a part 2 on your first name tomorrow on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Until then, have a beautiful and blessed day. We'll see you real soon.
Dr. Ray Gurendi, making a commitment to the wives. When the show's on, put the radio under your husband's pillow. The percentage of yes dears will rise. The doctor is in next.
When I begin my prayer time,